I need something to watch. Can the Celtics beat the Mavericks without Kristaps Porzingis? Your options: yes, no, or maybe, but it will take 7 games. Can the Celtics beat the Mavericks without Kristaps Porzingis? Yes, no, or maybe, but it'll take 7 games. Of course, he's going to be back for Game 1 in the NBA Finals against the Mavs after not playing since April 29th in Game 4 of the Celtics' first-round series against the Heat. Not at 100%, though. The Celtics still stomping through the playoffs, a 12-2 record without him, but can they do the same against Dallas?
Yeah, I think that they are the better team. Basically, for me, when I look at this series, the Celtics are the better, deeper team. The Mavs have the better player. So it goes, when I look at this series, I think it's going to go about 6 games. I think eventually the depth and the strength of the Celtics are going to overpower the Mavericks in a series where the Mavs are going to have to win on Kyrie and Luka deciding to be great and being great and not being stopped and getting 30, 10, and 10 and being highly efficient. Kyrie getting to the free throw line and knocking down a bunch of free throws. When I look at the Celtics team, even if you take out Kristaps Porzingis and you take out Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, because those are your 2 stars. You still have Holiday. You still have White. You still have old-ass Al Horford, who for whatever reason is going to find at least 1, maybe 2 games a series where he goes off. You're going to have Peyton Pritchard in there, who defensively is a little bit of a liability, but he gets a break for other guys, and offensively, he seems to at least make up some of that gap. Hauser is a problem if he's hitting from deep. So you go down the list of what makes this Celtics team great and why they've been running through the Eastern Conference. Yes, they've had some injury help and injury luck in the opponents that they're going against, but there's a reason that they were one of the favorites going into this year. There's a reason why for the last 7 years you have seen this same team largely unchanged continue to find a way to the Eastern Conference Finals and a couple times into the NBA Finals. It feels like it's their time. In the NBA, you have to go through and take some lumps. They've taken their lumps. It's now their time to go through and finish. Would it be easier if you have Kristaps Porzingis? Yes, life is a lot easier in basketball when you have a 7'2" dude that can stretch the floor and can hit a shot from the three-point line just as easy as he can hit a shot underneath the basket. But I don't necessarily think that you need him at 100% because he's not one of your star players in this series.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, and I think earlier in the week I was on the train of like, yes, it does not matter. They're going to beat the Mavs regardless. But then I start to kind of watch some highlights and look at the numbers, and I try not to get too deep in stats because I'm with Bill Belichick. Stats are for losers, right? But Boston's 5-man starting lineup with Porzingis had a plus 12 net rating in more than 1,200 possessions during the regular season. The same unit with Al Horford in place of Porzingis only had a plus 1.3 net rating in now half of those possessions, 649. That is per cleaning the glass on X. But along with that, just seeing, you're right, Will, that yes, every offense would do better with a stretch 7-footer that's able to hit threes. It's not just the level of, I would say, like points that he's bringing to the floor every night. It's how quick he can get those threes off. He's literally like, if a defender is giving Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown trouble out top, they can literally in half a second dump it to Kristaps, and he's already got the shot up, and he is so accurate with those threes 2 steps out of the 3-point line. I feel like it does more than stretch the offense. It's kind of something that you can't really beat when he's on. And then on the defensive side of the ball, his blocking ability, because he's one of the longest guys in the league, I mean, he can do it more, not to a Victor Wembanyama level, but he can do it more than just about everybody else in the league, maybe -5 guys. And he sneaks in there and blocks those things from the back. And that added to what the Celtics can do on offense, I think that it changes the entire thing for him. But when you're looking at 2 tall dudes on Dallas's roster, actually 3, I mean, you got a couple coming off the bench as well that are overall just making you bigger than the Celtics. I think that that's a problem with Porzingis not being on the floor. And if he's not 100%, then I think later in the series is where you're going to see some issues come up for Dallas. I feel like I've kind of seen the light, but I don't know. You're making me feel like I'm crazy now, Will.
Well, I don't think that you have to think that you're crazy. I mean, here's the general consensus around most people when they look at this game and you listen to national media. It's the Celtics are a better team, but if it's a 1-possession game, you'd rather have Dallas, right? Because they have Luka. He is the second best player in the NBA right now. And if he wins the title, there's going to be a lot of people that start saying that he's even better than Jokic. I would be someone who disagrees with that sentiment, but I do agree that he is the number 2 player and one of the best, if not the best, finishers in basketball right now. The key is going to be, can someone in Boston make life difficult for Luka or for Kyrie? Luka's still going to get his points, but when you watch that OKC series, as opposed to when you watch what Luka was able to do against Minnesota, OKC has a guy in Lou Dort who is able to move as quick as Luka so he can stay in front of him, and he's big, he's strong, so Luka's not going to be able to bully him around. When Luka was going up against Minnesota and he was going up against Alexander Walker or going up against Alexander, he was able to beat them off the dribble, or he was able to push them around until he got to his spot. Dort, he made that difficult. Is Luka still going to get 30 points? Yes, Luka's still going to get 30 points. But can you make him less efficient? Can you beat up on him? Remember in that OKC series, we're talking about Luka having a banged up knee. He looks slow. He looks beat up. Now, all of a sudden against Minnesota, they're not as physical on him. He's able to get to his spots. He's able to make his shots, and we're not talking about him being beat up anymore. When you look at the Celtics team, their star player is the perfect matchup for Luka. Is Jason Tatum going to stop Luka Doncic from getting 30 points? No, he's not. But what he can do is he can make him less efficient. If he's, instead of shooting 60% from the field, he's shooting 50, that's a victory there. If he has to start pushing and prying and grinding to get to his spots against Tatum for Luka before he gets his points up, that's big time, because now he's going to have to take more possessions off on defense, right? You saw against Minnesota, the big one in game 2 where he makes the steal when Anthony Edwards is trying to hit an entry past the cat down low. Luka's able to get his hand in the way and make a play. Is he a great defender? No. But when he is healthy and when he's not tired, he's going to make some defensive plays. If you can grind him out on offense, Luka won't be able to do that. So I think that's going to be the big key to this series. It's not necessarily going to be what is KP going to do, what is, some of the other role players, White, Holiday, what are they going to do? It's going to be about, can Jason Tatum make life difficult on Luka Doncic so that he's not getting his points as easily or as efficiently? If Jason Tatum's able to do that, Boston should win this.
All right. I like your take, Will, but I still feel like I'm kind of siding on the not sure if they can beat them without Kristaps Porzingis, because at that point you're leaving like Luke Cornett and Sam Hauser to play all the other minutes that Al Horford's not. And I know Al Horford's good. He can hit 7 threes for you on a given night, but not any given night. But go vote in our AAA Heating and Cooling poll question on Twitter. Your poll question, once again, brought to you by AAA Heating and Cooling, a family business helping families for over 60 years. AAAIAQ.com. Will the Celtics beat the Mavericks, or can they beat them without Kristaps Porzingis? Yes, no, or maybe, but it will take 7 games. Go vote. And please, as Rob says, vote hard.